really need to get started sooner rather than later. So whimsical, dreamy, perfect. I guess all these ancient gods and myths, they always have beef with one another. I admire that about an author. Hello, welcome back to my channel. I thought I'd switch it up a little bit today. I have not done a reading vlog in some time, and I want to dive into my fall TBR. I really want to start chipping away at it. If you haven't watched, make sure you go take a look at my fall TBR video. I have several books that I want to get to this fall, and I really need to get started sooner rather than later. So I thought a good boost and encouragement would be to do a reading vlog. That should give me the motivation I need. So in that video, I did mention that the book I want to start with is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross, a book that has been on my TBR for a while now, and I'm so glad that I finally got my hands on a copy of this book. I have not started it yet, so I'm super excited. I am going to do a quick little reading sprint now, but before I do that, just a very, very brief synopsis of the book. This is a YA fantasy, and it is about two young journalists warring gods and some sort of magical connection. There's fate involved. There are anonymous letters being exchanged. I don't know a whole lot. That's basically everything I know, and that's really all I need to know. I have heard great things about it, and I'm just really excited to begin reading this book myself. So I am going to get started now. There is a farmer's market in town today, so I'm going to do a quick reading sprint, put on my gym clothes, get a good gym session in, and then head to the farmer's market. I have a couple fun things planned for the day, but most importantly, I must start this book. So far, the autumnal setting vibes are there. It starts off the very first sentence. Cold fog had settled over the depot. So love that already. We also have words like metal and smoke and burning coal. We have rain puddles and piles of decaying leaves. That's all within the first paragraph. So I think I chose right in picking this book for my fall TBR and ultimately starting off with it. So already pleased, don't know anything, but that the setting is on point. So I thought I would do a reading check-in. I read to page 35, that is chapter 4, in Divine Rivals, and so far I'm liking it. I am captivated and intrigued by the story. However, I'm still trying to piece this world together. Sometimes it feels extremely futuristic, other times it feels ancient. Ancient because of the warring gods and these myths that they're talking about, and then futuristic, just, I don't necessarily know why I'm getting that vibe, but it feels like a very gray steel city that they're in. Perhaps that's because it's been very cold and windy and rainy so far in the book, and that's equating in my mind to a gray futuristic city. I really don't know. Ultimately, I'm just trying to piece the story together. We have Iris and Roman, and they are enemies. They both work for a newspaper and they are competing for a promotion. Both are fantastic writers and are up for this promotion, and they very much dislike each other, but there's also this tension there. I do believe this is an enemies to lovers romance, so I guess that makes sense why we're getting some of that tension so early on, but at this stage, they dislike each other. They highly, highly dislike each other. We are getting the story through Iris's perspective. She's 18 years old. The story opens up with her and her brother Forrest, and Forrest is going off to war to fight for the goddess, whatever goddess this is, and Iris is having to say goodbye to him. She doesn't want him to leave. And there we flash forward a few months and we learn that she dropped out of school, but because she's such an excellent writer, she won a competition for some paper, and this huge paper, very well known in the city, has picked her up, hired her, and now she's at the point where she is competing for this promotion. She is going up against Roman. Roman is the male main character so far, so it's Iris and Roman. They are competing with each other, and we don't know much about Roman yet, other than he is a great writer and he is wealthy. That's all we know about Roman. We're getting most of Iris's backstory. We are learning about her mother, or we have been introduced to her mother, and she is an alcoholic. She's obviously struggling with addiction, as well as the loss of her son, not necessarily lost to death, but lost to the war. He is fighting for this goddess, and she's obviously very upset about her son fighting for this goddess. So not much I can say other than that. Iris did just write a letter in her grandmother's old typewriter, and that letter did disappear and come back to her with a response saying, "This isn't Forrest." So that's not giving anything away. We know that letters are appearing and disappearing. That's sort of the premise of this story, at least what grabbed my attention initially. That's really all I can say. I am liking it, but again, just trying to put it all together. I don't know what world they're in. I don't know these gods. I don't know their magic system. I really don't know anything. So I hope that I do learn more, but it is intriguing me and it's keeping me engaged so far because I don't know anything. So I will continue on with Divine Rivals probably before I go to sleep tonight, but I want to spend some time doing my adorable puzzle. I started a absolutely whimsical, dreamy, perfect puzzle last night. It's 1,000 pieces. It's called Harvest Market, and it took me over an hour just to sort the pieces last night, and not even sort them in any specific way. Really, I was just trying to separate the border pieces and flip them over so they're all on the right side so I can see the colors and picture. Yeah, so I got a couple pieces put together last night, but I really want to work more on the border and hopefully start getting this puzzle put together because it is autumnal, it's super cute, and I would love to visit this little harvest market. I did happen to stop by my local farmers market today. I included that footage earlier. I didn't get anything at the farmers market, but I always love just checking up on it, seeing what is new there, if there are any new vendors. Everything pretty much looked the same, but it's always a joy just to walk through and see how crowded it is and how excited everybody is about fresh produce and a wonderful farmer's market. I also went to the gym. That was fine. And yeah, now I'm back here. I want to work on this puzzle. I have Gilmore Girls ready to go. I'm going to put that on in the background as I chip away at this puzzle. And yeah, that's that. I'll probably read a little bit more before I go to bed, and then I will check in tomorrow. Good morning. I made a pretty decent dent in the book. I think at least a pretty decent dent in the book last night and then early this morning. I am loving it. Again, so intrigued by the backstory and the building of this world. We are definitely learning more about the gods and why they have issues with one another. I guess all of these ancient gods and myths, they always have beef with one another. So specifically in this book, we have, I don't want to get their names wrong, I'll probably pronounce them incorrectly. We have Dacre, or Dacre, he's an underling. And then we have Enva, who is a Sky Ward. I did do a quick Google search. These aren't real mythological gods, but Rebecca Ross did base them or loosely got inspiration from Hades and Persephone, from what I understand. So when I was reading the little history that we got here on Dacre and Enva, I can see some similarities to Persephone and Hades. I don't know that story very well. I know the bare bones of it, so I wouldn't be able to know if this is spot on accurate, but again, I think it's loosely inspired by. So we finally did get a little history of the gods, why they are at war, and essentially, I'm not giving anything away here, essentially Dacre, the underling who lives like beneath the earth, he was looking for a beauty and learned that Enva, this skyward, she is the beauty of all. She's very musically talented and she goes around playing her harp for the mortals who have died, and she helps them cross over to either the upper or lower realm. And she's just supposed to be this overall beautiful person inside and out. And Dacre is very interested in her and he sets out to find her. She rejects him, hence the war. So These are the gods at war in this book. They are involving the mortals of the world. And last night I was talking about how Iris, our main girl, her brother went out to fight for Enva, the Skyward. So we're getting a little bit more there. We are also getting some of Roman's perspective, which I am liking so far. The language is really, really beautiful. A couple passages have stood out to me, so I do want to quickly read those. They shouldn't give anything away. They're just really beautifully descriptive. I think they give a good idea of what Rebecca Ross's writing style is like. So we have, she returned to her station. Around her, the Gazette was coming to life. Lamps flickered on, cigarettes burned, tea was poured, calls were taken, paper was crumbled, typewriters were clacked. I just love the imagery there. It feels like the coziest newsroom, the ideal place to work if you were a writer. So I love that overall feeling in that passage. And then I also have this really beautiful description Iris gives of what it feels like to not have any contact with her beloved brother, the one who is fighting for Enva. So Roman asks her, what does it feel like? And she responds, it feels like wearing shoes that are too small, she whispered. With every step, you notice it. It feels like blisters on your heels. It feels like a lump of ice in your chest that never melts. And you can only sleep a few hours at a time because you're always wondering where they are, and those worries seep into your dreams. If they're alive or wounded or sick, some days you wish that you could take their place, no matter the cost, just so you can have the peace of knowing their fate. So just two passages that have stood out to me. I am on chapter 9, page 71. I'm going to see how much I can read today. I want to get a decent amount read, but who knows what the day has in store. Always I want to be reading, and it seems to be something else always comes up. So I am going to set out to read a chunk now. I don't know if I'm going to do it here or if I'm going to venture to a coffee shop or somewhere a little more exciting than my apartment right now, but I will keep you updated. Overall, really liking this book and thrilled to know what happens next. I know I have not given an update in a while. It has been well over 24 hours. I am well over the halfway mark and I am eating this up. Divine Rivals is so good. I get why so many people love it so much. I do want to talk more about it later, but right now I want to go run to a coffee shop before they close in like an hour and a half. I want to spend some time there. So I am going to bring this book along, get some reading done there, and then I will give a more detailed update. Alrighty, so let's talk about this book so far. I am on page 229, chapter 31, and this is part 3 of the book. I can't go too much into it because I'm so far into the book and I would be at risk of giving too much away and spoiling something. So I just want to briefly touch on a few things in the story that I'm really enjoying. For instance, one thing I love is the magic, although I wish we would get more of this magic system. Rebecca Ross quickly touches on it here and there, referencing it, but we don't get a lot of it. We know that magic is at play in this world, but we don't see it enough. But when we get it, I love it. For instance, in the beginning of the book, we know that Roman's house is enchanted. There's the one story he tells about his bout with insomnia when he was a young teenager and how he would wander the house in the middle of the night and he would walk into the kitchen and there would be a glass of milk and a cookie or something there for him, and he always thought somebody was setting it out for him, but it was in fact the house setting it out for him because the house could feel that he was feeling down and needed something. So we get cute little bits of magic there. Of course, the typewriters are enchanted. That's how they are communicating with one another. It's not a spoiler to say that Roman knows that he is communicating with Iris. However, Iris doesn't know that she is communicating with Roman. It says on the flap, when two young rival journalists find love through a magical connection, they must face the depths of hell in a war between gods to seal their fate forever. We know that they are the rivaling journalists, and it is made clear here in the story that Roman knows he's communicating to Iris through his enchanted typewriter, and Iris doesn't know who she's communicating with, but she is developing feelings for this anonymous pen pal of hers. It's giving me You Got Mail vibes. Like, I think Rebecca Ross probably watched You Got Mail and then she incorporated it into her story that is a somewhat loose retelling of Persephone and Hades with a little vein of World War I and magic. It's quite the mix, and it sounds like a bunch of random things, but it works so well together. I did learn more about the time period of this book. I remember in the beginning I was a little unsure because it felt like it was ancient, but it also felt like it was futuristic, and it is like a World War I time period. At least that's what Rebecca Ross said she was, again, somewhat loosely basing it on. In the back of the book, in her acknowledgments, she credits a couple books and a film or two. That's how she was able to draw knowledge about war and combat and things like that. So I do believe it's loosely based off of World War I, as well as loosely based off of the tale of Persephone and Hades. So lots of great things going on here. I am still intrigued by the gods of this world and the just general world in itself, because it doesn't seem like it's our world with countries we know and towns we know. That is all fantastical here, but then again, we do have those elements of reality. So yeah, I do want to know more about the gods. We're not getting much about them other than we do get a couple letters from Roman when he looks up the myths of Enva and Dacre, however you say his name. We also get a little history on the really freaky and terrifying creatures and hounds that roam around and are used during battle and combat. So yeah, there's that. I should finish this up tomorrow, hopefully. I do have a little over 100 pages to go, but I'm getting through it rather quickly, even though that font is so small. The font is so tiny. I am not used to font that small, I will admit. I am used to a little bit larger, but hey, we're doing okay here. Before I close up, I do want to read a couple passages again that have stood out to me. As you can see, I'm tabbing this like crazy. It is a fantastic book. So this one passage I tabbed, I thought was so wise. We get it from Roman's Nan. She is encouraging Roman in his dreams, and encouraging him to stand up for himself. So this passage says, "I am 75 years old, Roman," she began. "I've seen endless things throughout my life, and I could tell you right now that this world is about to change. The days to come will only grow darker, and when you find something good, you hold on to it. You don't waste time worrying about things that won't even matter in the end. Rather, you take a risk for the light. Do you understand what I'm telling you?" He nodded, although his heart was racing. So a little bit of wisdom from 75-year-old Nan. And then we also have a little excerpt from one of Roman's letters, and it's about strength. And he says, "I don't think you realize how strong you are, because sometimes strength isn't swords and steel and fire, as we are so often made to believe. Sometimes it's found in quiet, gentle places. The way you hold someone's hand as they grieve, the way you listen to others, the way you show up day after day, even when you are weary or afraid or simply uncertain. That is strength, and I see it in you." So those are a couple passages that I recently tabbed. As you could tell, I am loving this book, and I'm so happy that I have the second one on standby, because I might just finish this up and pick that one up immediately. Though I do have a whole fall TBR that I want to get to. So we'll see about that. My focus right now is finishing up this book and seeing what happens with Roman, with Iris, with the gods, and all of that stuff. Hello, it's a few days later, and I am here to report back on Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I finished this a few days ago, and overall, great book. I think I'm rating it a 4-star, maybe like a 4.25. Parts 1 and 2 were fantastic. I thought the pacing was on point. Part 3, it got a little slow for me, but that doesn't mean it was bad. It was just a little slower, and I think I would have enjoyed it a little more if the pacing was similar to parts 1 and part 2. I understand why part 3 had to be a little more fleshed out because of everything that happens in part 3, so really no fault to Rebecca Ross there. Overall, a fantastic book. I think her storytelling is wonderful, and her mind is obviously so creative to be able to weave so many different elements into one story. My brain would never come up with mythology, magic, World War I vibes, and so many other things. I really enjoyed the enemies to lovers romance here. It was really just sweet and soft. It was a slow burn. It was closed doors and pure. It was honestly perfect. Everything I want in a romance trope. I don't need anything over the top. It was really just lovely. And I like Roman, I like Iris as characters. So it's fun to see them come together. That's not a spoiler. We know that from the beginning. It's pretty much made obvious on the flap of the book. So overall, great, do recommend. I have the next book in the duology ready to go, so I'll probably end up picking that up in the next couple weeks. I do want to start chipping away at my fall TBR before I dive into book 2. And I just found out that Rebecca Ross came out with a new release, like recently, like very, very recently. I think it's called Wild Reverence or something like that. And it's in this world. It's pretty much, from what I believe, it's a prequel to Divine Rival. So I'm excited that I have a couple Rebecca Ross books available for me to read when the timing is right. I can't go too much into details about how this ends, but I am shocked at the ending. That definitely, I would say the last 20 pages of this book, it increased, the pace increased because, yeah, I was surprised at the ending. So that's all I'll say. Before I go, I want to leave off with this quote. There were so many beautiful, beautiful quotes in this book. Again, Rebecca Ross, she definitely has a way with words. She's very skilled there, and I admire that about an author, you know, not only when you can tell a story, but when you can tell a story and it's beautiful, fantastic writing. So I want to leave with this quote because I feel like it really just, it hits home with just reality and what it's like to live in this world and just live life in general. So I'll end it here. We woke up this morning to one world, and now the sun is setting on another. So that's that. I am going to close up this little reading vlog here. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I had a lot of fun, and maybe I'll do another one of these soon. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.